Are the Florida Gators about to face their next head coach in Lane Kiffin?
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network, by the way, and damn, it feels good to say that. I am Brandon Olsen, lifelong Florida Gators fan. You can find my written work about the Florida Gators with swampsignal.substack.com. And yesterday was a fun day on social media. I wasn't able to enjoy most of it, but I like going back and just seeing what was shared in group chats and all that. It was fun, right? Because in the morning, we kind of got to experience, well, Ole Miss fans seemed to finally accept that Lane Kiffin might actually leave, which, look, first off, there's not going to be a ton of news around this until things actually happen. And I try not to get out in front of things, right? I sent the message to the insider program yesterday. I think it was morning, early afternoon, whatever. But I sent a message to the insider program and basically, which by the way, if you want to join that, the link's in the description below or go to joinsubtext.com/lockedongators. And it's basically this. Like, I try not to get ahead of myself with things. I try not to drink the Kool-Aid on things. I don't want to be the guy that, jumps the gun on stuff. From people I've spoken to, they seem to feel increasingly optimistic about Florida's potentially landing Lane Kiffin, right? And I think it's for good reason, right? Like people can talk about, because Ole Miss fans spent a long time trying to convince themselves that that Florida and Ole Miss were on the same tier, and sure, like that's not, anybody with a brain knows that. But this is the thing where Lane has always been infatuated with this job. Lane has always, like, he's got personal ties to Florida that have always tied into this. He's at his ceiling at Ole Miss, right? And look, I know that people can bring up questions, and yesterday Stephen Willis of Locked On Ole Miss brought it up in our crossover when he was just like, well, outside of Urban and Steve Spurrier, Florida hasn't won championships. So is it really that great a program? Is it really that much better than Ole Miss? Or is it just those two coaches? And here's the thing, that's bad, right? And my response to it was, I mean, if you take away the guys that won championships, no program looks that great, right? If you take away Nick Saban and Bear Bryant from Alabama, they still look pretty good, but they don't look like maybe the most prestigious program in the country. If you take away the guys that win championships, then yeah, programs aren't that good. Here's the thing. Ole Miss needs to do that. Ole Miss needs to say, okay, well, if you take away these guys that won national championships in the past 40, 50 years, then we're kind of on par. You know why Ole Miss needs to do that? Because they haven't won a national championship since 1962. That's why Ole Miss goes, well, outside of these two coaches, Florida's really not that great. Like, yeah, outside of when Florida nailed the hires, and by the way, those coaches used Florida's resources to get to the top. Yeah, outside of those times where it really worked, it didn't work. Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought? If you take away all the times that Steph Curry made a three, he's really not that great a shooter. What are we doing? No, I mean, Florida's a better job than Ole Miss. Florida, I will continue to say Florida's one of the best jobs in the country. And it's not just being a Florida Gators fan. It's the facts of SEC in the state of Florida, which is one of the most talent-rich states in the country. The resources available at Florida. Like, those things, they don't show up for every program, right? Few programs have it, and it's elite. And that's one of the reasons that you can kind of look at Lane and look at Florida and say, okay, Lane's always had a thing for Florida. Wanted the job when they hired Mullen, wanted the job when they hired Napier. This might be the time it actually happens. The difference this time is that Florida is interested in Lane. Like, that's always been what the issue was. And I will say this, I used to be a very big Lane critic And then he, cleaned up the personal stuff. He started taking defense seriously, and he started taking coaching seriously. Like, he started taking himself seriously. Like, Lane can be the guy that tweets and gives you the great sound bites in press conferences. But Lane's also a more serious professional than he's ever been. Like, Lane likes to keep things moving quietly. That's it, like time and place, right? And so with considering how he's felt about Florida very openly, and now Florida being interested, I think that there's a very good reason why, like I've said, like people I've spoken to feel more confident about this than they felt confident about things that have happened, right? People I've spoken to feel like this is way more realistic than it's ever been. And I do think that that's very important to just go, like, I'm not saying Lane's coming to Florida. I am saying that the people I've spoken to feel pretty good about that possibility. And that does in turn make me feel pretty good about that possibility. And I know that there's been numbers floating around of what Lane would need salary wise, what Lane would need NIL wise, what Lane would need resource wise. This is one of the very few times where I'm going to say something that, I don't think that I've seen other people say, that I'm not like, but from people I've spoken to, which I think are very good sources. If people aren't good sources and they tell me things, you don't hear about it, because I don't waste my time, and I'm not going to waste yours. If Lane does not come to Florida, it won't be because Florida wasn't willing to pay enough. It won't be because Florida wasn't willing to offer all the resources. It won't be a financial thing, okay? If Lane has this number of whatever NIL budget he would need, whatever salary he would need, he's getting it at Florida, okay? If he chooses to not come to Florida, it's for a different reason. Okay. It's not because Ole Miss dropped a bag, because, well, guess what? Florida can, and Florida has better state income taxes, or better state income tax rate than Mississippi. So you got it there. And these coaches, oftentimes, I'm pretty sure, I don't know how Ole Miss handles it, but I'm pretty sure Florida gets, like, they'll have your housing, cars, all that stuff. Like, they'll have that set up. So it's not about that either. People keep saying, and like Stephen Willis from Locked On Ole Miss will say, like, oh, well, Florida needs to outbid Ole Miss. Why? Why does Florida need to outbid Ole Miss when hypothetically $1 million in Florida goes further than $1 million in Mississippi? It does. Cost of living in Gainesville is not insane. Again, you've got a bunch of stuff paid for. Better state income tax rate in Florida, because there's no state income tax in Florida. There is in Mississippi. I think it's like 4.2% or something like that. Yeah, there's good reason to feel good about Florida. Financially, Florida's better. Talent-wise, Florida's better. I'm talking about the states, not the teams. But talent-wise, Florida's better. Resource-wise, Florida's better. If Lane doesn't want to come to Florida, it's for something else. And I'll tell you this, Lane wants to come to Florida. That's never been a secret. Never been a secret. If Lane doesn't come to Florida, it won't be because of the money. It'll be because of something else, whatever that may be, but it won't be because of the money. It won't be because of the resources available. He's going to have all of that. He's going to have all that available to him. It won't be a resource thing. I'll tell you that much. Speaking of Lane Kiffin, he is currently still, for the time being, the head coach at Ole Miss, who Florida plays tomorrow. We're going to get to the keys to victory for Florida pulling off this upset when we get back with Locked On Gators. It is almost the weekend. It's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order. These players delivered when it mattered most. And look, I wanted to do the whole thing that I've done too many times this season of, like, I'm not naming a player. None of them deserve it, which is fair and valid, and I stand by it, honestly. And in a 38-7 loss, no one truly deserves it, but I'm going to give it to Tramel Jones. Because Tramel Jones came in, true freshman, SEC play, down by $1 billion, and came in and just didn't screw it up. Did his job. Got his reps, didn't make splash plays, didn't make mistakes. And I care way more about not making mistakes than the splash plays right now. So I think that Tramel Jones deserves it. So just like Tramel Jones delivered for the Florida Gators, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays with DoorDash Streaks. You save every Saturday you order. Save it up all season, and you can save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply, and the promo period is available through November 18th, which, by the way, next week. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free every single podcast and on YouTube. And the Florida Gators go into this game as almost 3 touchdown underdogs. And I think most people have written them off. And I think most people can acknowledge that Florida should be the probably multi-touchdown underdog in this game. We know that this is still a talented Florida team, right? I do. I know that I can go out there and I can say, there's still a lot of talent on this team. Poor coaching shot them in the foot. Poor quarterback play. Like, the 2 most important parts of a successful program failed you. Everything's going to fail you. Offensive line, arguably the 3rd most important. I'd say probably 4th behind defensive line. But offensive line there also underperformed this year. Like, the spots where we thought Florida was going to be pretty set at, or not even where we thought that, well, where we needed Florida to be pretty set at, they weren't. Okay? That leads to losses. This is still a talented team. It is. The quarterback needs to protect the ball. I say the quarterback because we know that it's expected to be DJ Lagway. It wouldn't shock me if Tramel Jones came in at some point. But the quarterback needs to protect the ball. You cannot win games when you are just giving the other team the ball, which is what this quarterback room, specifically a certain DJ Lagway, has done far too often this season. And look, like I've made it clear, like I want Tramel Jones to start. I think DJ Lagway should shut it down, and I think DJ Lagway will probably benefit himself from portaling. I would gladly keep him in Gainesville, but I do think that for him personally, it might be best. And I hate that because I still think he's incredibly talented. I still think he's fixable, but it might be best. The offensive line needs to be better in the run game. Like, I know that so many people are down on this offensive line and they talk about getting quarterbacks hit and getting quarterbacks killed and crushed and all that. And, that's why DJ Lagway's bad this year, because he doesn't have faith and trust in this offensive line. You go watch the games. Go watch them and really focus on the offensive line. Go back to every time there's a pressure on DJ Lagway, and you look at who's really responsible on those plays. Because oftentimes when a rusher comes in, it is a free rusher that was missed by assignment, which I don't know if that's on Slaughter or if that's on Lagway. I usually put more of that blame on quarterbacks. I think it's more of the quarterback's responsibility to say, hey, that's the off-ball guy that I think is going to come blitzing in. Or it's a running back or tight end in pass protection, right? And just watch of how they happen. Even there was a sack that got credited to, I think it was Caden Jones. That was Katie Daniels' fault. Katie Daniels blew his pass pro rep. DJ Lagway had to step up and to the right, and the guy that Caden Jones was blocking, but I don't even think he did anything. I'm pretty sure DJ kind of just bumped into Caden Jones and fumbled. Like, stuff like that. Like, I'm telling you, this offensive line, they've been bad in run blocking. Pass blocking, they have not been that bad. Miami, Texas A&M, those 2 teams handed their asses, like handed Florida their asses. That was it. Every other time that there's been a pressure game, it's been on other people. Almost every other time. It's been on QB, running back, tight end. This offensive line and pass pro has been doing their job. In run blocking, I need you to do your job here. Jaden Ball has been cooking with average blocking. Give him good blocking and let him go to work on this defense. I do expect to see more split zone, more counter. That's what they seem to be leaning into, and it's what they should continue leaning into. I would like to see them maybe run it to a different side, maybe run it more. I feel like every time that they run counter, it goes from right to left. Maybe run it from left to right. Just saying. Maybe run same side power if you want. Like, you can do these things. But Jaden Ball being effective as a rusher would be vitally important for this team to find some actual success, and hopefully be able to pull off an upset. Like, I'm still going to say I think they can pull off the upset. There's not a single game where I'm going to go into it and say Florida can't win this, because I know that if your quarterback play is better, you win a lot of these games. There have been plenty of issues. There have been plenty of miscues. I'll blame coaching a ton too. But coaching's the same as it was last year. And DJ Lagway made plays. If DJ Lagway makes the plays, you win games. I'm not saying every game, but you win games. You don't lose to USF. You don't lose to LSU. Maybe Texas A&M. Maybe. Your offensive line got bullied in that one, so maybe. Georgia. Kentucky. Like, we're talking about quarterback play away from 6 or 7 wins here. And no, this isn't my Billy Napier. We're a dozen or so plays away. This is, because guess what? That's how many interceptions he's thrown. I need him to not throw those and throw touchdowns. But we're genuinely quarterback play away from already being bowl eligible, from having a much more respectable season. But we're not there. This is still a talented team. Offensive line does their job in the ground game. Jaden Ball will do his job and will be productive and explosive against a defense that's been susceptible to it. Make it happen. I will also say this. I would love to see some more Amir Jackson. I sent this message to the Insider program yesterday as well. I've been speaking with people around the program, and the overwhelming sentiment when I've asked about Amir Jackson, because I'll be honest, I simply asked a few people the question of, why doesn't Amir Jackson play more if everybody's impressed with him? Because like I've been speaking to people, and everybody that talks about Amir Jackson says nothing but positive things. They go, oh, he's so dynamic as a pass catcher. He's light, but he holds his own as a blocker. Like he does his job as a blocker. He's not getting bullied as a blocker. So that led me to ask, like why doesn't he get more? Why doesn't he get more run then? We know I have nothing but love for Hayden and Tony, but we know that Amir Jackson would be the most dynamic pass catcher of the group. He's the one that used to play wide receiver. Hayden went from QB to tight end. Tony Livingston went from O-line to tight end. Amir Jackson went from wide receiver to tight end. We know who the most dynamic of the bunch will be, right? So you have the most dynamic pass catcher available in the room. And if he actually is an even average blocker, that's valuable to have. And he should be out on the field. And I would just like to see him play more. I do think that having a guy like Amir Jackson would help this offense. Having him play would help this offense. I also will say I hate the way that they've used tight ends this year overall. We haven't seen nearly enough seam shots with them. We haven't seen nearly enough boot slide. Like this tight end approach has just been, hey, we're going to maybe get it to you. If we're losing by 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, we're going to do a whole bunch of 6-yard outs along the sideline. You just catch it and step out and see if you can pick up, a yard, stick your arm forward. Tight end usage has been awful this year. It's been absolutely terrible. That's purely on coaching, but I just want to throw that out there. It's been terrible. Amir Jackson, seemingly, I feel like the past few weeks, he's played a drive in the first quarter and then hasn't played again. And I don't know what the hell they're doing with it. Like, if he's good enough to play at any time, then play him. I'm not saying he needs to start. I'm not saying he needs to be tight end too. I just think he needs more reps. That's it. Give me 12 snaps instead of the 3 or 4. Just give me 12 snaps of Amir Jackson this week, and let's see what he does. Let's see if he does anything. Let's see what he does. Put him in the backfield. Let him run a wheel route out of there. Ryan O'Hara, I don't know if you actually watch this show. That's just a joke I make. But Ryan O'Hara, Amir Jackson, lined up weak eye, wheel route. Play fake too off it. I don't care. But just saying, would love to see it. We're going to talk about what the defense needs to do when we get back with Locked On Gators. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or you just want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout, and it keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. I'll tell you what, I'm betting the over on everything for Cat with Jalen Brunson getting banged up. Maybe Josh Hart assists while I'm at it. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free if it's in the podcast and on YouTube. And to wrap up today's show, we're talking about what the defense needs to do. And I only have two things that I'm going to say the defense needs to do to win this game. Or needs to do in order to give you a shot to win this game. Because, the offense still needs to do literally anything. Just something. Just give me something. This offense hasn't scored more than what, outside of the Texas game, 21 points in an SEC game or a Power 4 game. Give me something. I'll say that. Defensively, get off the field on third down. Trinidad Chambliss has been nothing short of a monster on third down. Okay? You just watch Ole Miss play, and every time they get to third down, they get themselves into these wacky spots where Trinidad Chambliss, he does like the college quarterback thing, the Pavia thing, the Manziel thing, where he just makes things weird for you. And it's incredibly impressive. I'm not taking that away from him at all. But he makes things weird for you, and he beats you that way. Like he'll scramble around until someone gets open, and he's got no problem with it. On third downs this year, he's completing 55% of his passes, 5 touchdowns, no picks. That's damn good. Okay, like 55%, sure, could be better, but when you take into account that most of those incompletions came on 3rd and 10 or longer, you care less, right? Yeah, that's the only one where he's on third down. The only place he's completing less than 50% of his passes is 10 and longer. Okay. He does a damn good job of just being great. He's got 26 completions on third down. 20 of them went for first downs. So it's not like he's just like checking it down below the sticks. Nope. Running the football, he's got 5.5 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. And he's picked up 11 first downs with his legs on third down. So I want to make that clear. 5.5 yards per carry on third down, 2 touchdowns, 11 first downs there. 6 rushes that have gone for longer than 10 yards. You get to third down with Trinidad Chambliss, and look, he benefits from Ole Miss having one of the shortest average distance to go on third down. They do. It's like 5.3 yards or something like that Ole Miss has on average to convert a first down. Trinidad Chambliss, that gives you a good spot, right? Because that's on average, which means like there's times where you're going into 3rd and 10, 3rd and 13, 3rd and 14. That means that way more often you're in a 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. Whatever the distance is, Trinidad Chambliss has been lights out with his arm and legs. And I will say this for Florida's defense, because I do think that scrambling quarterbacks have given them issues. We've seen it with Arch. We saw it with Marcel Reed using his legs. 1st and 2nd down don't matter if you're giving up the conversion on third down anyway. Okay? And Trinidad Chambliss has an uncanny ability to convert third downs. So I will say that yes, I get it. 1st and 2nd down, you don't want to give them those 3rd and shorts. But you need to be lights out on third down because they're going to dial up something, and he's going to use his legs to make you pay. The other thing, I will be honest with you, Florida Gators fans, as I always try to be. Look, I'll be wrong 1,000 times. I'm fine with that. I don't care. Hell, more than 1,000 because I intend on doing this for a very long time. I'll be wrong a lot. I'll be right a lot too, and I will remind you when I'm right, because some people need to be reminded that they were wrong about things, and I get it. Florida, you are going to lose the explosive play battle in this game. You are. This Florida offense is not explosive, and it's also not consistent. You are going to lose the explosive play battle in this game. And I have no problem admitting that or saying that. I said it against Mississippi State too. I was like, look, you're probably going to lose this explosive play battle. You just can't lose it by too much. That's the more important thing, I think. Just you can't lose it bad. I think that's the way more important part about the explosive play battle right now for Florida. Again, because your offense isn't giving you anything. If your offense was giving you some, and be like, win the explosive play battle, you win the game. But this offense just isn't doing that. They don't care. I swear, they hate big gains. I don't know what it is. But Ole Miss right now has more plays of 20-plus yards from scrimmage than anyone else in the SEC. They've got more plays of 30-plus yards than anyone else in the SEC. More plays of 40 or more yards than anyone else in the SEC. 50, they fall behind Tennessee. 60, they fall behind Vanderbilt and Texas, which is wild to say. Okay? But you look at what this team does, Ole Miss, they create these big explosive plays. They do. Ole Miss has the third most plays of 20-plus yards than anyone else, or the third most plays in the country of 20-plus yards, behind Texas Tech and Oregon. This is an explosive offense. You're not going to win that battle. Very, very, very explosive offense. 98th percentile explosive offense versus a team that's probably 20th percentile, and I'm trying to be generous with it in terms of creating explosive plays. Florida's not an explosive offense. I'm going to pull this up live while I'm doing this, and I don't mean actually live, but 6th percentile. Florida is 6th percentile explosive play rate. 6.1% of their offensive plays are explosive. That's it. 6th percentile. That is awful and embarrassing. It really is 6th percentile. Ole Miss, by the way, in terms of these percentages, which I will say they are different than just the 20 plays. 81st percentile, 9% of their plays. They have an explosive play every, 11 plays? I'm not a math whiz. Don't tell me that 9% is actually 11 plays. It might be. I just tried doing the math and saying, all right, well, I know it's more than 10 because that'd be 10%. But you got to slow them down and just make them earn it. That's really it. Ole Miss is going to score. Ole Miss is going to have some explosive plays. But you need to limit them as much as possible there. They can't go out and have, they average 6 plays of 20-plus yards. You got to hold them to 3 or 4 tops. Because if they start taking the top off the defense, having these big explosive plays, you're going to get blown the hell out. That's really what it is. Offense, I don't expect you to generate explosive plays because you don't do that. I am begging you to not turn the ball over and allow this defense to give you a chance. Because that's all we've been asking this whole season. Just do it once for me here. I am begging you to just not shoot the defense in the foot. That's it. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free if it's in the podcast and on YouTube. We will be back maybe later. We might do a live. I'll let you know this now. I'm feeling sick, so maybe later we'll do a live. If not, we'll be going live tomorrow after the game, no matter what. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI and swampsignal.substack.com if you want Florida Gators written work, and I'll see you all next time.